Okay, I should be live, and let me just ping my Discord crew to let them know I am on camera. Audio should be good. If there are any problems, as always, just let me know. Okay, let's just take a quick look to make sure things are working well. Looks like I have one like in chat. And good. We have an exciting, this is a little bit of a surprise stream. A little bit of a surprise purchase I made yesterday. And I want to talk about it, do my normal unboxing and testing and share my thinking about this device, which I wasn't planning on getting. But I was so curious about it. And something changed in my mind about why I wanted this device. Okay, let me just make sure the stream is working fine. And I'm so excited. Let's see. It's been a good day. I've had a good day. Okay, great. Looks like the stream is working. High quality feed. If you notice any audio problems, of course, just let me know. Audio or video problems. Okay, so what is the device? Let me get it. 1 second. Okay, here it is. Right? ASUS ProArt display and model number, let me get it so you can see, PA169CDV. Okay? So, let's take a look at it. Let me move my keyboard, create some space. We'll get the overhead camera view going. Maybe I need to turn on the overhead camera. That's another thing I need to do. Let's see if that'll turn it on. It should be kicking in just a second. And you're seeing, you're not seeing what you want. I want you to be seeing. There's the overhead camera. And looks like it doesn't remember where I wanted it to point to, so I'm gonna have to point it down. You're getting an impromptu tour of my studio here. There we go. It's looks like it's a little rotated, so let me try to fix that a little bit. Okay, that's a little better. And what I'll do is I'll zoom out. I bought a remote controller to do this, so it's a little bit easier than it was before. There we go, look at this. Messy desk. Let me clean it up a little bit more. That way it'll give me some space to lay this down. And clear out my water. Here we go. Okay, this is a nice one. Okay. There we go. This is, where's the front? I guess this is the front. There's the box. Nothing, nothing too special about the box. ASUS ProArt display, PA169CDV. Not a huge fan of just using model numbers like this, but at least it's very clear which device this is. We'll take a look at the side of the box, just so everyone sees. They have some basic specs on here. And let me zoom in, because some of these are actually a little important. I love my overhead camera. Okay, just like this. So what did it say here? 4K HDR. And it says Field by Wacom. Now what this means is a certain generation of UD EMR pens will work with this device. Okay? We'll talk about what that is. And then I'm not sure what this is supposed to mean. I guess that's indicating it has pressure sensitivity. IPS, fantastic 10-bit color, okay. What does this say? Can't even read that. 100% Rec 709 and sRGB. I guess that's good. Color accuracy delta E less than 2. 2 hands on the screen, which I suppose means 10-finger touch. USB-C with DisplayPort supports, HDMI, ProArt logo. I think this means there's a dial. Yeah, there's a dial on it. Looks like you can control the brightness with the dial, I guess. I suppose this might mean picture-in-picture, and I guess it has legs, so you can tilt it at an angle, and 3-year warranty. Okay, so I actually like this. I like that they display all this in a very clear, obvious way. And, okay, let's cut this thing open. And for that, I need scissors. Where are my scissors? I wonder if I... Oops, no, okay. I don't have my new setup working with the front camera quite yet, so you're just gonna have to look at me looking at this box with the overhead for a little bit. And let's see. Let's unbox this. Now I buy a lot of ASUS monitors. Oh, there's a little, what would you call this? A sleeve. It's a sleeve. It's branded ProArt over here. Okay, so I'm going to lay the sleeve at my feet. And look, it's a box within a box. So let's take this box out. Now, I saw, in preparation for getting this device, I watched Brad Colbo's video, and I watched Tio on Tech's video. And one thing Brad mentions is how light it is. So I'm very curious about that. And that is one of the reasons I bought this. Okay, let's get this foam off of here. Okay, I wouldn't say it's super light, but at least not in this box. But maybe the box contains other things. Okay, what is inside this? Let's take a look. Let's zoom in a little bit. 1 second. Yeah, so much simple. I got a remote control for the overhead camera, so it's much easier for me to zoom in and control things rather than using a mouse. Hi, Konto. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And we have Rain joining us. I'm very curious. I've never heard of this tablet. What kind of pen does it have? So it has, I think the pen literally is made by ASUS, but it's a Wacom. It's a Wacom EMR pen. Okay, and we're going to test some other Wacom EMR pens with it. It won't work with like the Pro Pen, but it'll work with like the CP912, 913, and 923. Okay, and this looks to be a power supply, which I don't think I need because I have a USB, I have a Ugreen USB power thing here. So instead of unboxing this part, I'm just going to use my own power supply with the USB cord. And I'm actually going to see if my computer can charge it or keep it powered by itself. Okay, and this is just for the power supply. There's nothing else in here. There's no pen in this box, which means the pen must be in the other box. And let me, I'm going to increase my own volume so I can hear the music. Okay, that was a little too loud. Okay, let me close this box back up. I'm going to put this on the floor next to my feet. Okay, so you can see right here, it says ProArt display. And let me zoom in because I know that this is maybe not so obvious. Okay. They're trying to be all fancy here. ProArt display. There's a little tiny X here, you can't see it. Feel by Wacom. So this is like black on black. This is like shiny. I know I'm spending all this time on the box, but this is quite elegant. You can, anything else here? It just says ASUS on top. Nothing else on the box. ProArt on this side, nothing. Very elegant, very elegant. You might have trouble seeing this in the dark. Focus is getting a little bit weird with the zoom here, but let me see if I can at least, if I zoom out, it should fix it a little bit. Okay. Okay, focus is getting a little bit weird, but it is elegant. It is very elegant. Okay, and I just open this up. Oh, look at this. ASUS VIP member notice. Let's just take a quick look at this. English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. Dearest customer, thank you for purchasing an ASUS product. I mentioned I have a lot of ASUS monitors. In fact, every monitor I'm looking at is an ASUS monitor in front of me. But I've never bought any other kind of ASUS device. So I am really curious about this. Nothing really special here. This is more, looks like joining their community. Okay, here's the pen. Here's the pen. Right? Very elegant. The unboxing isn't quite as elegant as, like, you know, an Apple device, but that's fine. That's not what's important here. Nib, 2 nibs. I'm looking at these nibs physically. I mean, I'm looking with my eyes, and I gotta say, they look very similar to some Wacom nibs I've used, but we'll test that out. And pen is stuck in there. Okay, maybe I should try pushing it out by opening the other side. I'm not good at... This other side's not meant to be opened. Okay, so I don't want to destroy this box, though. So I'm going to have to open this other side. Sorry, the focus sometimes of this thing gets a little weird. Konto, I think you're right. I think this... it says Wacom feel, and that really, as far as I can tell, means the same S Pen tech. Yeah. We'll test it. I have lots of S Pens. We can try that. It's hard. Oh, I'll push it out. Why am I trying to pull it out? There we go. Okay. Definitely not as elegant as how Apple would do it. Okay, here it is. Here's the pen. And I'm trying to push it out as well. Okay. Again, not the most elegant of experiences so far, but that's fine. Nothing else in this little box, so I'll put it all, stuff it all back in there and put it at my feet. Here's the pen. It is, can you see it on camera? It's very hexagonal, right? So it won't roll. Like, it's got 6 sides to it, so like a, you know, a pencil. It's got a single button, right? It looks like this is one of those buttons that will be a rocker. It's not. It's just, there's only one button. It says ProArt on it. It's just jet black. And actually, there's an eraser here. At least it goes in like an eraser, so that's interesting. I didn't expect that. I can't, off the top of my head, recall any UD-EMR pens that have erasers. Maybe there is one, but I just can't remember that. Anyway, it looks nice. I mean, it looks nice. It probably looks more... I would say it kind of has a premium feel, honestly. Yeah, I'd say that. Okay, I'm going to put this little nib thing here. And let's take this out. And before I actually unwrap it, they provide... These days, a lot of tablets are providing this color report, right? Which I don't know how to read these, so I'm actually not going to pay attention to it. There's a US... No, this is... What is this? This is interesting. Am I understanding this correctly? This is the weirdest HDMI cable I've ever seen. It's two... You guys, can you see how thin this is? Here, let me unwrap this for you. It's a little surprising here. This is an HDMI cable, but it's thin. Hey, Nick, joining us just at the beginning. Good to see you, good to see you. Nick, we're trying to sort that out. We're trying to sort that out. If it's for Pro, they're not really clear on this. And there's some mixed signals. I'm wondering, has anyone ever seen an HDMI cable that's this thin? Does it mean it's some kind of special HDMI cable? I don't know. Why aren't all HDMI cables like this? Okay, yeah, that's actually interesting. And then there's a USB-C cable. I suppose this is the one that's going to carry the display port. Does it say that? It doesn't say that, but okay. Nothing else in here. Then we have the manual. And there's nothing else underneath here, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, this looks to be just paper. Yeah, there's nothing in there. And there's nothing. Yeah, this is just paper. Okay. I don't think I need, so I do need this, but I don't think I need that HDMI, so I'm going to put it back in here. We're going to take a look at this manual real quick. Kunto says that's a Stettler pencil shape. Okay, interesting. In fact, I've been meaning to get one of these Stettler pencils. These, a bunch of other ones actually. Okay. I'm just looking at this. Hopefully you can see it as well. You know what? Why am I doing that? I can actually zoom in on this, and both of us can see it without me having to put my face right up into the camera. So it looks like on the left side there's a power button, the dial, a toggle switch. Don't know what that toggles, and a menu button. On the right side, a full-size HDMI port, USB Type-C, and another. So two USB Type-Cs, but one of them, if you look carefully, zoom in here. I love the zoom here. One of them has the DisplayPort symbol on them. The other one does, let me take a look. Okay, and the other symbol there's DC in. So it looks like both of them can take power, but only the top USB-C port will take a display signal. Let's see, Nick Tyler, probably a short wire to plug in an external display, common for laptops, as is their native screen. That's their native screen. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to leave this out because I think I might need to refer to it, and I'm going to move this box down. Okay. And let me hydrate. I apologize again that you cannot, you're not always seeing my face for this. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have it all set up. Okay, so now we're going to get back to taking a look at the overhead, and let me zoom out. And here it is, and it's in a plastic wrapper. Let me unwrap it. A little, not quite, but it's fine. Okay. So, first, I got my dirty hands, fingerprints on it, of course. Okay, so first reaction. It's got a decent bit of anti-glare. You can see there's a light right above me. You can actually see the individual LED elements. So it's not a super anti-glare thing, which is typical for Wacom devices. They probably want to not have too much anti-glare sparkle. That's why, so I'll examine that. The other thing is, it is not very, I wouldn't call it super thin. It's not moving thin, but it is thin enough. Actually, now that we brought up that topic, let me just bring the Move Ink next to it, because we're going to talk about the Move Ink. Okay, do you see how thick and thin they are? Oops, let me angle it. Right, I would say the Move Ink is about, roughly speaking, because remember the Move Ink has a wedge shape. The Move Ink is about half, or maybe to a third of the size, the thickness. Okay. Now, since the Move Ink is going to come up, let's go ahead and just put the Move Ink next to, on top of it. Okay. So the Move Ink is 13.3. This is 15.6. So this is 2 extra inches. Okay. So that's okay. Now that I'm showing you this, let me just explain why I got this device. Okay. And it has, it has its own set of features that are interesting, but I want to talk about why. So first of all, on the Discord, many people seem to be getting the Move Ink. So that's quite interesting. People seem to be enjoying the Move Ink. That's also interesting. I do like my Move Ink. I keep it around my streaming setup because when I need to draw something, it's so light, I bring it up. It's pressure sensitive, obviously. It's got touch sensitive, which is very convenient sometimes when I want to just have content I'm browsing through. And so thinking about how I use the Move Ink, and I do occasionally draw on it, but in a lot of ways I use it as a utility device for when I'm streaming, for whiteboarding, for testing certain things. So I just wanted a bigger Move Ink. And on the Discord, I think some of us are always talking about, we would love it if there was a Move Ink 16. Now, Wacom's never mentioned that, but I bought this device to serve the same role that I am using the Move Ink 13 for, okay? But you have to remember what I'm doing with the Move Ink 13. I want a light display that can be charged with one cable that lets me do basic like whiteboarding and supports touch and doesn't interfere with the tablet drivers that are installed on my Windows machine. By the way, I don't think this works with a Mac exactly. We'll find that out. So given all that, the fact that it has some limitations is actually desirable for me because I want to plug this into a machine that has a Huion driver and I want this to still work. Okay, we're going to see if that works. I think it will because I think it relies on the Windows PNP drivers. Okay, Wacom 1 is not in the same league as ProPen 2. Yeah, I agree. Though surprisingly, I can get by with those, S Pens, right? Rain, the design does look nice. It is very elegant. The bezels are not very thick. It's slightly bigger bezel. Let me show you at the bottom here, right? But very elegant device. Very elegant device. Yes, I could wish that it was the thickness of the Move Ink, but I'm happy with this. I'm very happy with this so far. Okay. Oh, a slight detail. Up here, there's a little, what do you call this? A little loop, a fabric to hold the pen. Okay. Now what's interesting here, I don't think I've ever seen this before. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but it says Wacom Feel. I don't think I've ever seen it, the Wacom Feel branding so prominently shown on a device. Like they're really emphasizing it, okay? And let's just take a look at, I think Rain has a comment. Off topic, I saw Tio reply to a comment. ProPen 3 can draw thick and thicker lines. The Wacom 1 center pen can draw thin, thick, and thicker. I'm not sure how to interpret that statement, honestly. Yeah, the loop is CTL 480, and the aspect ratio, Konto, because you're asking about it, it's if I drew a line from screen to screen, it looks like a 16 by 9, okay? So we'll take a look at that. Okay, so I'm just visually, and let me just, I'm not going to draw quite yet, but I'm just going to take the pen and talk about the surface texture, okay? And what I'll do is let me zoom out. Oops. Let me zoom out and move some of these things out of the way again. Okay, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm taking the pen that came with this device and comparing it. Okay, and I'm going to take my Samsung phone and put it here. Okay, it's important because this is just normal glass, okay? Let me try to explain the sensations, okay? So this is the pen for the ASUS ProArt, and this is, again, smooth glass, like an iPad. It's slippery as hell, okay? You would not want to draw on something, this kind of glass, because you can just feel how slippery it is, okay? Now this is less slippery. You can feel a little bit of texture, but it's not a lot of texture, okay? And then compared to the Move Ink has less texture than a Cintiq Pro, but it has slightly more than the ASUS here. Or maybe they're almost the same. I would give this maybe the moving a slight edge. Not a huge difference, okay? And let's see, Nick says, I love people talking about design of tablets in 2025. It's a black rectangle with rounded corners. Brilliant. Well, you've got a point there, Nick. Okay, and we haven't even turned on the tablet yet. Let me take a look at the buttons here. There's a lot of buttons and ports here. On the left, you can see that. And on the right. Oh, it is. Oh, there's just, there's some holes here, I suppose, for heat dissipation. Holes here. I guess that's the on-off button. Yes, all the stuff, all the controls and ports are on the left, which surprised me. I thought some were going to be on the right. Okay, and then one more thing. What the heck is all this? There's like a panel here. I mean, it looks like it's supposed to come down, but it does not actually come down. Not that I can see anyway. This does come down, though. So that's its leg. It doesn't have legs, but it has a leg. Okay, that's actually a decent angle. And I'm really happy about this because I do want to use this in such a way where there's... what's the right word I'm thinking of? I do want to use this in such a way where... and this is a comfortable drawing angle for me for this size of tablet. Pretty happy about that. A slight etch. Yeah, there's a slight etch. I don't think this does anything. I thought maybe this was going to fold out or something. It doesn't look like it does. At least not that I can see. Oh, it does. Oh, there we go. Okay. So if you fold it that way, you get a bigger angle. Right? So actually, it's got two legs. It's wild. Right? So if you really wanted to, you could keep it like this. You know. That's kind of wild. But yeah, this small leg gives you one angle, and this bigger leg gives you a bigger angle. I love having legs because it keeps me from having to keep a stand around. Okay. Rain, I really like how thin it is. It's cool to see a larger pen display be that thin. Yeah, and I think it could be thinner, but this is good. This is good. This is one. I can't think of any other 16-inch pen display which is. There are a few that maybe are this thin. But none of the Wacom 16s are, for sure. Nick, we haven't gotten to the tech specs yet. I did show you what's on the... before you joined, I added what's at the... sorry, let me explain this again. Before you joined, I did show what's at the... on the box. But we'll talk about all those things as we start using it. Is it an OLED? No, it is. It's an IPS panel. It's an IPS panel, and it's a 4K IPS panel. Okay. Okay, great. So now is the time to just try it out. Okay. Now I'm going to take their cable, which is normally not what I do, and I'm going to plug it in. Why did the music stop? Okay, there we go. Music back on. Okay, and back to our overhead here, and move my water out of the way before I spill it, and I'm plugging this into a Minusforum mini PC. It's a Windows PC. You won't see anything immediately. This looks to be like a 4-foot cable. It's not like a 6-foot cable, so it's not super long. And I'm plugging it into the top USB-C port. Okay, let's see. Okay, nothing happened, but okay, so its power is coming through. I can see my Windows PC has recognized there's a display. Let me put my hand here so that thing has something to focus on. Sometimes this overhead camera gets a little bit confused about what's going on. I'm not sure why. Let me zoom out. Maybe that's what it's confused by. There we go. Okay. So this is the standard ASUS stuff. It's talking about some energy saving mode, and it wants me to hit Yes or no? Okay. Would you like to remain in energy saving mode? No, I don't want to save the energy because I'm not sure how I'm supposed to respond to this question. Oh, the dial lets me, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. The dial on the left, I was wondering, how can I say yes or no? Because the computer mouse doesn't affect this. So if I move the dial, it switches between yes and no. Okay, so I'm gonna move the dial and click the dial. Okay, so the dial rotates and it clicks. That's actually good to know. Okay, so you're just seeing Windows 11 here. And since this is a little bit of an awkward angle for the camera, let me close the lower leg and lift the upper leg. A little easier for both of us to see. Okay. And should I... We'll see. I'm going to turn off this light for a second so that it's not interfering with... Yeah, okay. So I'll be in shadow a little bit, but at least hopefully you can see. Now maybe I need to... Oh, this thing is touch sensitive, so it's doing stuff when I'm touching. Let me configure Windows to use this thing correctly. Okay, so I think I'm going to do two things. First of all, let me identify this thing. It's identified as number 2. It's 4K display. I'm going to tell it... Okay, so it's recognized as a 4K display. To make it maybe easier for the overhead camera to focus on, I'm going to turn on the background, make the background color something less than just black. Hopefully that helps. Okay, it looks like the overhead camera is still struggling with focusing, so give me a second. Let me see if I can talk to the overhead camera control thing and change how it focuses a little bit. Oh, connect. Got it. Let's see. I'm trying to change the focus a little bit more. Sometimes things trigger its focus to work. Okay, sorry. I think I'm going to try manual focus for a while. At least for a little bit, until I figure out how to make it, give it more control. Okay, this is good enough, but what, actually that's the, let me zoom out. Manual focus is going to be a problem. Okay, so it is working. Now the one thing that you can't see, now for you, I'm touching this thing and nothing's happening. Okay. No, it's not a standalone Kanto. It's not a standalone. And so what's happening is I am touching here, but take a look at this. I'm not sure this will capture everything. Okay, I'll do it like this. You see what's going on here? So touch is affecting the other screen, which is obviously what we don't want, right? We want touch to affect only the screen. In fact, you can't see it. I'm touch because it's such a subtle effect. But can you see maybe I'm touching with 3 fingers physically, but there's 3 little dots on the screen moving, right? You might be able to see it dance if I do this, right? So there's Windows is having a little bit of confusion with touch being on this display, but it's mapping to that display. Okay, so we have to figure that out. Is there a way to turn off touch? That is a good question. Okay, let's take a look here. There's a toggle switch under the dial. So let's go ahead and just hit the toggle switch. Let's see what happens when I do that. Nope. I don't know what the toggle switch does, but it sure as heck did not turn off touch. There's another button underneath it, which brings up, let me scroll down here. Mark Anthony, I think you're right, but you know what? We should be able to modify that behavior. We should be able to modify it. Let's, okay, so there's a bunch of things here about the different modes. Oops, let me bring that back up. So there's this is the color modes: sRGB, Adobe RGB, Rec 709, DCI-P3. I'm gonna stick to standard for right now. There's also some secondary modes and reading modes. Don't know what that means. The dial will control this. Okay. Blue light, palette adjustment. What else? Image, sharpness. I don't know what trace free means. Input range. Always want to check input range, by the way. I'm going to click the dial. Scroll down. Okay. For anyone who ever sets up a monitor, whatever you do, you'll see sometimes these things will get to limited 16 to 235 or something. I always set it to full range, okay? And I don't like auto. So back means I'm not sure what they want me to do here. Okay, I click another button to go back. Or exits. Let's see. Image, volume. It has volume. Okay, we'll test the audio. Oh, look at this. There's actually picture-in-picture mode. So you can have like a picture here or side by side. That's interesting. That's interesting. I suppose the other input would be from HDMI. So if you're interested in having two different displays there, that's interesting. Let me get out of here. Quick Fit Plus, don't know what that means. Signal. Okay, settings, touchscreen. So you can, okay, so this is interesting. If I want to turn off the touch on the device, since there is no driver, remember, I'll have to go into here. Okay, and then I have to click turn off. Oh, can I click touch? Okay, so this is weird. This thing supports touch, but I can't use touch to interact with the OSD, which seems silly. So I have to use the dial. So I'm going to turn off touch for a moment. OSD, key lock, power indicator, language, power saving, information. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. I turned off touch, okay, because right now we'll solve touch in a little bit. We'll do some pen testing later. So that's the first thing I notice is I wish there was an easier way to turn on or off touch, okay? That would be my preference for a device like this, because I tend to want to sometimes just turn it on for a second and then do something and then turn it off. Okay, let's take a look at the comments. So make the pen display as primary. Yeah, I will do that. I will do that. And Mark Anthony, I think there's also another way to address the problem. But let me deal with the drawing part first, and then we'll get back into touch, and I'll do exactly what you say, setting it as the primary display. Does the Wacom Center recognize it? Fantastic question, Kanto. I do believe I have Wacom Center installed. So let me take a look at it. Let me move this thing out of the way. So I know you're not seeing things quite as I am seeing it. Let me zoom out. Okay, so let's take a look. And you know what? I'm going to follow Mark Anthony's advice here, and I'm actually going to set it as the primary display right now, because it's easier for you to see what's going on. Okay. So give me a second, and I'm going to set this as the primary display. Okay, there we go. Right? Fantastic. Okay. So now I can zoom in a little bit, and then you can see what I am doing. Oh, Kanto, good idea. I'll test the pencil in a second. If I don't, just remind me, please. Okay. Oops. Man, I love this remote control. It's so much easier than navigating an app. Okay, so what do I want? What am I trying to do here? I set the primary display. I'm trying to answer Kanto's question. Does the Wacom Center recognize it? So I do believe I have Wacom installed. Nope, it does not. It makes no sense of this display. And just to be complete, let's take a look at Wacom tablet properties on this device. Okay, you can't, it's here. How can I do this? This thing is so bright, you can't see what it says, but Wacom tablet property actually launched a dialog. Let me see if I can change the brightness, if I can remember how to do that. So it'll be easier for you to see. Give me a second. No, that's not what I want. Brightness, okay. So even though it's gonna be less bright for me, it'll be easier for the camera to pick up. Okay, so by the way, it was set at 50% brightness, and since I am looking at brightness, let me comment on it. When it's set to 50% brightness, I thought it was fine, pretty typical for pen display. When I set it to 100% brightness, it looks fine too, a little bit brighter. It wasn't, not like an iPad bright. Now, for the camera to get it, I'm setting it at like, I would say 25% brightness. Actually, I'll turn it down a little bit more, maybe to 20%. Okay. Now you notice the color shift. That's the camera. That's not me. That's not what's actually I'm seeing. This looks fine with what I'm seeing. The color didn't shift at all, but the camera is doing camera stuff. Okay. Okay. So to answer Konto's question, the Wacom driver on this computer has no idea about that this is a tablet. Okay. And then Konto's other question was, does the pencil work on the OSD? So let's try that. Fantastic question. Let me close the this thing and close Wacom Center as well. Let's bring up the OSD, which again is this button. Let's see. Okay, and again, the OSD is not reactive to the pen. Okay, now who knows? Maybe the pen is defective. I don't think so. But we'll test this. We'll test this in a second. That's a weakness. Okay, so let me exit this, and you can see the computer is reactive to the pen. Okay, now notice what do you see here? What's the shape of the cursor? The pointer. Let's zoom in. Notice I installed ASUS, by the way. Take a look at the shape of the pointer. What is that? Whenever you see this pointer, what it tells you is this special weird diamond, weird shape. It tells you that the Windows PNP drivers are being used for this device, okay? Which is what I want and what I expected, okay? This is what I expected. It's a good debugging information. If you're ever using like a Huion or a Wacom and you see this instead of the normal mouse pointer, it means that the tablet driver is not being used. The Windows driver is being used. That's right, it's the Windows Ink cursor, Konto. Okay, Nick says, so it's an ASUS tablet display with some basic Wacom pen tech. With such thickness, I thought it was a full power. Yes, Nick, I totally understand that. Given how thick it is, you would think it's a laptop. It seems about as thick as my Surface Pro 8, right? So there's a sense, I mean, it's thicker than my iPad. So certainly, let me put my face back on there. So certainly there's a sense that it feels like this could be a, what's the right word I'm having here? That this looks like it's a actual computing device, like a Surface Pro 8 or something, but it's not. It's just a pen display. Mark Anthony asked, does ASUS software need to be installed? Two-part answer here. The answer is no. And the second part answer is there is some ASUS software that I think can be installed for this, some sort of control software, but you don't have to install it, okay? We're gonna install it, but I don't think it actually affects how the tablet works. It doesn't affect how the tablet itself works. In other words, it's not a driver, it's another utility application. We'll find that. Brad showed that thing being used, and we'll play around with it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do some basic, hang on a second, I'm looking for things around here. Okay, let's go launch an application, shall we? I think do I have Clip installed? Okay, I don't have Clip installed, so I'm gonna go download Clip Studio Paint. Let's, give me a minute. And Krita, and etc., etc. I am very excited for this, by the way. I'm very excited, because I want to use this as I'm doing whiteboarding for you. That's the purpose of this tablet. It's not really for drawing, it's for whiteboarding and communicating to you and, doing live streams. So I have a very specific use case for this. Let me take care of Clip first. Where is Clip? So I'm downloading it. Not very exciting. I'm just downloading the trial for Clip for Windows. Where is it? It's downloading. Okay. While I'm waiting, Kunto says, thanks for checking. It's like Nick said, then ASUS makes full laptops at the thickness. I was expecting Magic Drawing Tablet Gen 2 with its HDMI in, but for Windows. Yeah, I totally understand that. I am still really mystified. Now we know, obviously, the Movink teaches us that a thin device can be made. And by the way, I don't even think this is just because the Movink is using OLED. Like the iPad is thinner than this device. My Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 is thinner than this device. And I've seen other displays that are as thin, you know, as my Movink, IPS displays. So what keeps these devices big? I have no clue. I mean, it's been a mystery for me. These should be thin now. Let's see. Yeah, Kanto, I believe it will serve I think it will serve me quite well. Now, I do need to solve that focus problem, but this will be useful for me. Remember, I need to use the situation. The fact that there's no driver for this is good. That's a feature for me because I need to use this with a Windows machine, which can have random Huion XP Pen drivers installed. So I don't want them to interfere. So the fact that it's a separate thing is really useful for me. Let's see. Nick says, yes, but laptop displays are usually junk with very few exceptions. This is just 15-inch color calibrated external display plus some Wacom pen. That is true. That is true. We cannot deny that. Okay, hang on. I'm installing Clip. Yes, I do want to install Clip. Fortunately, Clip has a doodle mode, so that's convenient, meaning I don't have to burn a license on it. I accept the terms of the agreement, and let's install Clip. I love Clip Studio Paint. Let me make sure everyone hears that a million times. I love Clip Studio Paint. Krita is installed though, so while we're waiting for Clip, I'll install Krita. Nick, a long time ago, I had it was a laptop, but I think it was an ASUS laptop. But the screen was so thin, right? You flipped it open, the screen was so thin. I don't understand why displays just can't be super thin. Maybe I'm missing something in how they constructed these screens. Okay, Clip is installed. But Krita is now here. My buddy Krita. So let's do a new image here. Sorry, I'm using my mouse. Why am I using a mouse? I've got a pen right in front of me. Let's see, is that what I want? No, I want this. Okay, no, I do want, sorry. What am I trying to do here? Ah, I know. I need to, actually, what's the easiest way of showing you this? Okay, I think I need to go to my Windows machine and I need to do some duplication weird things, okay? So hang on a second. Let me get back here. I need to make sure that I'm projecting the screen in addition to doing the overhead camera. That's what I'm trying to do, okay? Keep changes. Okay, so I need to I need to extend and not duplicate anymore. Great. And then I need to duplicate. Oh shit, I did the wrong thing. Let's try this again. Display settings. I keep forgetting to accept the changes wherever they are. Hang on. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, that's just hilarious. Keep changes. No wonder I was confused. Okay, identify. 2 is my Wacom. Let me move it over just because it's easier for me to understand it that way. And then identify again. Where the heck? There we go. Okay, identify again. I want 3 and 2 to be duplicated. So I'm going to duplicate desktop on 2 and 3. keep changes. And that means that, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and set this to 4K. Keep changes. And I'm gonna set this to, okay, that's great. So I'm seeing 4K, and now when I show it, and you're seeing the same thing, you're seeing exactly what I'm drawing, okay? You can see? It's the same thing you'd see if I was giving you this overhead view, okay? But it's at higher resolution, you won't see any weird lighting issues, that kind of thing, okay? So that's why I set that all up. Okay. Now, so now I'm actually using the pen with it, and I wonder if this will give you the same look. Yeah, now you can see everything together, okay? Isn't that nice? You can see exactly what I'm doing, right? Okay. Let's see, Kanto says, I wonder if the difference is the basic LED versus wide gamut. It could be. Could be. It wouldn't escape me. Sorry, that's not even the right expression. I wouldn't doubt it, is what I'm trying to say. There are lots of thin displays on the market now, TVs, monitors, tablets, but in terms of color, 99% of them are junk. Oh, Kanto, you asked a point about AG Sparkle. Fantastic question. You know, unfortunately, I have to do this. I have to put my eyes next to it. AG Sparkle is... So, I would say it's in the low category, but it's on the upper end of low. Okay? Now, if I compare it to my memory of the moving, which I can compare them both in just a second, I would say that this probably has... Actually, let me give me a second. I'll actually do that comparison. Since this is intended for me to replace a moving, then it's important to compare them both, right? I assume you'd want me to do that. Now give me a moment, because this is gonna freak out my computer, as you know. And it's gonna act like the world is collapsing because I'm adding another thing to it. Okay. Whew. Now I've got two separate displays that have touch on them. And maybe this computer will freak out, Windows will freak out because of this. Or maybe not. We'll see. And just to prove this to you, my primary thing, this changed again. Okay, hang on. Okay, so this is my Move-Ink, number 3. This is my ASUS, and this is my normal monitor, okay? So let me just do that again to make sure. Okay, so now I've got the Move-Ink right here, right? And I'm just gonna take a look at it. Move-Ink has very low anti-glare sparkle. This has low, but kind of like high. It's clearly this has more sparkle than the Move-Ink. Clearly, there's no doubt about that. It's not so rainbowy. But you can definitely see that texture. If that makes sense. Let's see. Move-Ink is 8 full HD, and this one is 4K. Yeah, so let's just say they're the same size, just for a second. It tends to be, as resolution increases, you see more, and pixel density increases, you tend to see more anti-glare sparkle. Not always, because it depends on the specific treatment involved. For example, Wacom displays tend to have very little anti-glare sparkle, no matter what the resolution is. But I don't think anyone would really complain about this anti-glare sparkle, to be honest. I would say it's on the high end of low. On the high end of low. Or maybe you'd say the low end of medium, right? Moderate. Okay. But I'm not bothered by it. I'm definitely not bothered by it. Okay, so yeah, this thing works. Now let's get into our buddy Krita and do some testing. Yeah, I've turned off touch because I'm touching this thing so much. Okay, create. Actually, let me create a different one there. Let's close this. I want a different size here. I want 4,000 by 3,000. There we go. Create. Okay. Let me just draw. Let's see what brush I've got here. I've got some weird ass brush here. I'm going to start with just a basic brush. I forgot what it's called, the one I use for testing. This is just a fine liner, I think, okay? I'm going to zoom in a little bit, if you don't mind. Actually, first let me just draw. I will zoom into 100%. Not 200, 100. Ugh. Let's try this, 100. Okay. Doing this, I'm not seeing anything weird. Actually, I am seeing something weird. We'll talk about it in just a second. Can you notice it? The lines are a little rough. They're a little. There's something a little weird to them. Here, let me erase this for a second. And let's just do this again. I want you to pay close attention. This is a 4,000 by 3,000 document at 100% zoom on Krita, and I'm just going to just do some circles like this, okay? Now notice I'm not drawing slow. It's very important, okay? Let's zoom in now. Take a look at the stroke quality. You see this? That's weird. Something is off there. I'm not liking this. Now, before anyone panics, you see these little dots here, right? That's not good. But before we panic, what we do is we look at multiple apps, and we take a look at Krita's settings. Okay, and Krita's settings here are. I keep on forgetting I have a pen that'll do these things. Configure Krita, and we take a look at tablet settings, and it's set to use WinTab. But this doesn't use WinTab. There's no WinTab driver for this thing, so we have to go to Windows 8. Okay, so let's go ahead, meaning WinInk, and let's go ahead and restart Krita. Whenever you make that change, we have to restart Krita. Okay? But Nick, again, that can often be because of this Windows Ink WinTab thing. So whenever you see that, I always advise people just take a pause, try to replicate it in, oh Jesus, how do I clicked on some stupid Discord thing. I hope I didn't start streaming on Discord also. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, so again, we'll do the same test. I've tested so many tablets, and I've had that happen. I've learned not to get freaked out when it does happen. Okay. I'm looking at it with my eyes, and by the way, I'm going to verify that there's no smoothing. I'll turn it off here, okay? So let me delete it. Again, I'm not drawing fast. I'm not drawing slow. But I can tell right now the lines are better. Okay? Now let's zoom in to prove what I said. Look at that. Lines look fantastic. Okay? Look fantastic. So the mistake there was Krita was trying to talk to Windows Ink and was not using the... it was trying to talk to WinTab, and that wasn't working here. Okay? So it was probably falling back to some Windows API which treats this like a mouse, and the mouse has much poorer resolution compared to a tablet, and that's why we're seeing those weird snapping of those lines, okay? But once we switch to Windows Ink, everything's fine. So this is good. The pen is... Now let's talk about lag for a second. No smoothing is on, remember. I would say pretty typical for a pen display. Nothing surprising here. If you're drawing at a normal speed, it's probably slightly a little bit more lag, to be honest. But that could also be Krita, okay? The machine is very powerful. It's not the machine. Let me try. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try my favorite testing app, which is, where is it? Troubleshooting 7-Pens Tablet Tester. And yes, for anyone who saw my screen just there, I did install ASUS. Okay, so let's just draw here. What does it feel like? Now don't judge the quality of the strokes. You're going to see rough lines, but remember, this program's not designed to draw smooth lines. It's designed to just draw lots of tiny dots. So you'll see these weird effects. That's not the pen. That's the web plus the code. Okay, and so don't be alarmed by that. We're just trying to test some other things out. Okay, let's try drawing with a 300 pixel brush, which is very big. Let's clear this. Now I'm gonna try to draw with super light pressure, okay? What did you notice? It suddenly jumped up like that, right? And this is at max pressure, okay? Let me try to draw continuously with the relatively light pressure. And I'm gonna try to move up and down pressure. Part of the bumpiness is my code. Part of the bumpiness is the way pressure works here. So if you're drawing with very large brushes, you might see a little bit of erratic behavior with this pen. Now remember, I'm not using this tablet for artistic stuff. How do you deal with the fact that the strokes start off very thick and you're seeing you see that kind of bumpiness to it? That, again, a little bit of this is my code, but some of this is just the pen itself. Okay? So how do you deal with that problem? You got to do two methods. And yes, Konto, I would say there is... Let me just test this out. Konto's asking the initial activation force. I don't think it's super high, Konto. I don't think it's super high. I think what happens is the initial... I don't know how to explain this. Okay, let's try it this way. I've seen this happen in other UD-EMR pens. Let me explain it like this. You know how I'm going to explain it? I'm going to use the whiteboard, okay? Because this is a fantastic thing. I hate Copilot. Turn off Copilot. I hope no one from Microsoft heard me say that. Okay, so let's talk about Konto's question. Does it have a high activation force? I don't think so. It's not like a Pro Pen 2, but it's not like 10 gram force or something. So let's draw something, and I want to show you. Okay. So this is going to be physical pressure, and this is logical pressure. Okay. So typically, what happens is, as you move here, this curve, which I'll draw in red, will look like this. Very typical for an EMR pen, okay? Now so basically for a while it's 0 until you get to the IAF, right? And then it starts moving up, okay? Now what happens with a lot of UD-EMR pens I've noticed is, and I think this is actually, I believe it was $700 to $800, Nick. I believe that's what I paid for this. When you hit the IAF, what's the first value you should get? You should get a pressure level of 1, okay? Now what I've noticed in some UD-EMR pen and tablet combinations is they'll report sort of, one of two things seems to happen. They'll be reporting 1 even past the IAF. So they'll be reporting 1, like right here, 1 step above, okay? And the other thing that I've seen, let me undo that, is instead of smoothly jumping up, they start higher, if that makes sense, right? So this will give you a bigger stroke, even though technically you're hitting the first pressure value. Does that make sense? So that's what I think is going on here. Now, the way you can solve this, you can address this problem to some degree. If I go back to my application, my tester here, how do you deal with this problem, right? And there's other things I could do in this application, but the first thing you should do is change the pressure curve a little bit to look like this, okay? So let's go erase this, and now watch what happens. See? Now I'm able to draw much thinner lines, right? Let me turn off that pressure curve and show you again what happens, okay? Let me erase this. I'm trying to draw with light pressure. You see that? Now I turn on the pressure curve. You see what happens there? So if you get that effect with the pen, don't worry. Just start using your pressure curve and you can get things going. The other thing is, let's talk about the blotchiness, right? And this, again, you may not ever notice this, but if you're drawing with super light pressure and a big brush, and this is a 300 pixel brush. 300 pixel, what you can do with some apps is turn on pressure smoothing, okay? So I set it to about 0.86. Now watch this. Pretty smooth, pretty nice, right? Very nice. Now I'm going to test the report rate here. Let's clear, because I measure the events per second here. Now this is via the web, so it's going to be limited by how the web, these browsers work. So I'll draw for a few seconds, and I'm looking how many events per second. So right now I'm getting 60 events per second. Now that doesn't mean that's 60 reports per second. I'm just saying that's how many pointer events the web page is getting, right? I'd have to use Open Tablet Driver to get the actual, what do you call it? The actual report rate, or some other measuring application. Okay, so I don't know the report rate. That's kind of a question now for this thing. I get the feeling, because I am seeing a little bit of segmentation lines, that it's not 200 reports per second. I'm getting the feeling it's probably like on the order of 120 reports per second. So not a high report rate. And why do I say that, by the way? My drawing here is primitive. My code to draw is primitive. Can you see, how can I say this? Yeah, let me do this. What do you see there? You see how it's very segmented? That shows you that it's getting reports, not many. That's not a fault of the pressure. I'm just not getting enough data points back from the browser. With a Wacom pen, and why don't I show you with a Wacom pen? Okay, remember how fast I was doing that? Okay, watch this. Let's hopefully this will actually work without me rejiggering how this. Let's move this thing over here. There we go. So let's see if this works. Oh, by the way, this ASUS pen works with this Wacom moving. You can see even with this pen or on this browser with the moving, you get the same kind of behavior. Let me erase this. You get that segmentation, right? So that is natural when you're not, the program is not getting many events per second. But on the browser, you don't get that many in the first place. You get less than the actual hardware. So it's still an area of investigation. Let's see, Nick says, not cheap, and I doubt pen will be anywhere close to moving feel. It definitely isn't. Like, it is not a Pro Pen 3, okay? How much will it drain? Good question, good question. I don't know. I don't know. I would guess definitely, I generally recommend when someone is using a device like this with a laptop, that you always keep the laptop plugged into power, right? Okay, so that was that. I want to do a little bit of test now on the, what do you call it? Let me erase this. I want to do a little bit of test on, I'm trying to select this, hang on. Where's my mouse? There we go. I want to do a little bit of wobble testing, but I need my wobble tester. Where's my wobble tester? Here it is. Okay. Okay, so let me get my keyboard out of the way. So you'll see my wobble tests live. Do OLEDs? I'm doing a slow line test at 45 degrees. Do OLEDs use less power or not? I've had mixed answers from people. Some people tell me like it uses less. Some people say it uses more. I'm never getting at it. I'm not sure what to believe anymore. These are very slow strokes. Now I'll draw faster strokes. Actually, that's a little too fast, to be honest. Remember, there's no smoothing going on in Krita. And now, much faster strokes. And forgive me, I need to put this up to my eye. I would call this at very slow strokes and medium strokes, there's a little bit of wobble. I even see it a little bit at fast strokes. It's not there's not a lot of wobble, but there is a little bit. You'll probably notice it. If you're doing art, you'll notice it. But that's with no smoothing. Let me turn on some smoothing and see what happens. Where did my pen go? 100, okay. And let's erase this. What am I trying to do here? Oh yeah, smoothing. I want smoothing on. I want smoothing weighted 100. That's how I test this thing. I'm trying to just manually get these things at 45 degrees. Now we get slightly faster strokes. Just a reminder, everyone, diagonal wobble testing is one of those, you know, if you're looking for a problem, you might find it. You might not ever notice these problems if you're just drawing. But if you're hunting for the problem like I am, then you might notice it. So don't get too paranoid about diagonal wobble all the time. Okay, gotta put this close to my eyes again. Let's take a look. At 100% weighted smoothing in Krita, I can see a little bit of general wobble in slow and medium strokes. It's just barely, it's almost invisible at fast strokes. Let me try 200. Where's my pen? I keep losing it. I like doing this test because I want to make sure you know how much it would take to address wobble issues. There we go. No, faster. And then okay, this is weighted 200 on Krita. Yeah, I think at weighted 200, you'd have to hunt for the wobble. You can just, if you're really closely paying attention, you might be able to see it. But I think it's one of those things you have to like. You'd have to get a microscope out and see that it's happening. So this is fine. This is fine. Totally acceptable amount of wobble. Unless you're hunting for it, you're not going to notice. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So Konta, I think you hit it. This is really good for my use case because I'm not trying to draw artistically. I'm trying to do exactly what I'm doing for you right now, which is I'm using this to draw diagrams and to show people things, okay? Because this is helping me communicate. Let's see. I'm wondering if Wacom, Nick says, I'm wondering if Wacom is working on reviving Mobile Pro line, Mobile Studio Pro. Moving pad is a nice sign. I wasn't a fan of old MSP, super expensive and a lot of problems. Yeah, I wonder the same thing, Nick. And you know, I even if they are reviving the Mobile Studio Pro, I'd be very leery of getting something that expensive, right? Like even if it's really good and it has Pro Pen 3 and has all these amazing features, I believe that if you really want to work mobile, I've said this many times on stream, people are much better off just getting a small mini PC and getting a pen display. It'll cost you 1/3 the cost and you can upgrade the thing much easier, right? You can get multiple of those for the price of a Mobile Studio Pro. Okay, we're gonna test a little bit of parallax and tilt and all this. So far, I'm very happy with this. In fact, I have to be honest, it's performing better than I expected. I'll say it that way. I expected I'd be dissatisfied with drawing on this thing. Let me turn off the, sorry, I'm doing parallax testing. I'd show you the camera, but the camera just will not pick this up. It's just, it'd have you focusing it'd be all blurry. Now let's compare to the Movink, okay? And the reason I'm comparing the Movink is that's the device I'm trying to replace with this. And number two, they're the same price point. I think this is like $800, the Movink is $750. Okay. Hang on one second. Let me okay, I think I know what to say here. The Movink definitely has less parallax. I would say this parallax is okay. It's nothing great and it's nothing bad. It's okay, right? I think lots of displays have this amount of parallax. And again, you see how I had to look at that? I had to put the tablet like this, right? Now, if you're drawing normally, if you're drawing like here, I don't think you'd really notice much of the parallax at all. So this is fine. This is fine. Now, what about tilt compensation? This is a tough one. I gotta get the, I have to look at the desktop. Again, sorry, this is one of those things where it's hard to show you what I'm doing, so you just have to watch me do something silly here. That's very good tilt compensation. Tilt compensation is excellent. It is excellent. On all the corners and in the middle and anywhere else I'm seeing, the pointer does not stray really from the tip of the pen. That's fantastic. And accuracy in the corner. And the edges. It's fine, it's good. Like all pen displays, when you get to the last, I don't know, 2 millimeters close to the edge, things get a little bit more off in terms of tracking accuracy. But that's standard, all pen displays have that. Let's see. Nick says, so what about pressure and tilt in Krita? Is it the level of the Wacom one? I think so. Yeah, I think so. Let me switch to a brush which is more of a I'm gonna try drawing. This is about 150. It has that Wacom 1 feel to it, to be honest. But for my case, that's fine. That's actually fine. I'm not complaining about it. Now, a couple of times I've drawn something, and let me switch colors here if I can remember how to do this. Where's that darn color thing? It's so funny. Sometimes I just forget where, I wonder if this clicking here will do it. Nope. Where is the colors? Tools. Am I crazy here? How do I bring up the color palette? Okay, hang on. I just used the mouse for a second. Okay, did you notice right here? I'm putting red to show you. There was a skip there. There was a skip there, right? A couple of times I've drawn a stroke, and for some reason, I'm not sure, there was a skip. And I didn't suddenly pull the pen away, right? Nick, the reason it looks rounded is because we discussed earlier about the specific pressure handling of these UDMR pens. This is very typical for UDMR pens, and a pressure curve will help it. I'll demonstrate in a second. Let me do a few more tests on this, this stroke thing I just noticed. I didn't notice it before, so it could just be the way I'm drawing, or maybe I'm clicking the button accidentally. I'm looking for any missed gaps in the stroke. Okay, maybe I was clicking the button when I was holding it. That may have been it. Nope. Okay, I'll just count that as a spurious issue. Okay, so let's try to fix the more rounded beginnings and ends of the strokes. Again, we just go into the brush thing, and I'm going to take a look at size. And this is the null pressure curve, and I'm just going to set it to this one, okay? And it should help immediately. Let's take a look. See that? Helps immediately. And that's a thing I will notice, I will recommend for anyone you might get a pen tablet or a pen display, and you might be immediately, oh, I don't like the way the strokes look. You play around with the pressure curve in the driver or in the brush or in my testing app, and see how that affects it. Because a lot of the times you can just get the effect you want, right? You can get the effect you want. So this is fine. See? The strokes look thin at low pressure. Okay. So let's just do a little bit of testing. And what's it feel like? This brush is 150 pixels big. Let me try going thin to thick. I do have the pressure curve on. Actually, let me delete this for a second. And what's it feel like? Thin to thick. That's with the pressure curve. Sometimes I think it's, to be honest, sometimes I think it's unfair to test the tablets. I mean, it's fair to test the tablets without using any pressure curve, because that's the hardware performance of the tablet. But then, it's kind of unfair as well, because you could easily make it look better just by tweaking the tablet. So it's kind of good to know the hardware, but realize you can tweak it. I feel like it draws fine, right? If you notice any rough edges here, that's the brush, that's not me, or that's not the tablet. Let me try a different, at least I think it is. Let me zoom in and just verify that. Yeah, that's the brush, that's not the, let me try a different brush shape. Maybe this'll be it. This is about the same size. Yeah, that was just the brush. The brush had a rough edge. Okay. Always be. Okay, we're gonna meme on that, Kanto, but before we do, let's answer Nick's question. But we're gonna meme. Has Wacom ever sold a Pro Pen to any third-party manufacturers? ASUS, Acer, Samsung, Lenovo? As far as I know, the answer is no. I have never seen a Wacom Pro Pen work with another device. It's possible they've done that, but I don't recall it. I certainly don't have any device like that, right? I think they want to keep that pro level pressure for their branded equipment. Okay. Okay, let's I like where Kanto is going, so give me a second. We're gonna meme. We're gonna meme here. Let's see if we can do this. This will be a fun experiment for it. Let me move this mouse out of the way. It's the wrong mouse here. Okay. You can't see what I'm doing because I want it to be a little bit of a surprise, okay? Let's see. There's a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, okay? And it's it's a little bit of a rough scene, but we're just gonna take a look at a screenshot. And I liking it. I'm liking the idea of where Kanto is going with this. So let me find it here. Okay, here we go. Here you'll. This is. Let's see. I'm gonna find just the right picture. Okay, this is good. This is good enough, I think. It's a random screenshot from. Okay. I'm laughing that it's so silly what we're about to do here. Okay, hang on. File, new, create from clipboard. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Oh, that looks awful, doesn't it? Oh no, my brightness is just low here, but it should look good to you. Okay, so in this scene, he's giving not a lecture, he's yelling at people. And someone drinks some coffee and he goes, put that coffee down. And I guess he's saying coffee is for closers. And he's yelling at them. And he gives them this lesson. He has this ABC, always be closing the deal, I guess. So we're gonna tweak this, I mean, just temporarily at least. And the meme here is gonna be always be curving, right? I'll actually take this and make it a real meme, okay? Always be curving. Okay? That's what we want to see, right? Always, A, always, B, C, curving. Always be curving. Good one, Kanto. Good one, Kanto. Okay, Nick's got some comments. Wacom has, sorry, next one. We already covered that one. If I'm not mistaken, Samsung S Pen is based on Wacom UD-EMR tech. Yes, and let me prove that. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get some S Pens, and we're going to see this in action. Okay, I am back, and here's what we have. We have the Wacom CP923 pen, okay? We have the Wacom CP913 pen, okay? These came from the 2 different generations of Wacom One tablets. We have the Samsung S Pen, okay? And we have the ASUS pen, okay? And what we're gonna prove is all of these pens work on the ASUS monitor, and all of these pens work on the Move Ink, okay? So let's prove it. Let's go back here, okay? And I'm just gonna scribble on Alec Baldwin here, okay? So here's the ASUS pen. Obviously this should work. This is an ASUS display. Here's the S Pen. It works, okay? You know what? Let me switch brushes because I just realized we should probably use a brush that shows you the pressure, right? So that we're not, so you believe it actually. So back with the ASUS pen, right? Let me change, yeah, fine. We don't want to clear the pressure curve. S Pen works. What about the CP913? Yep, it works, see? And they all have the same behavior that Nick mentioned. And CP923, Wacom. 923 is worse, by the way. 923 is an awful pen. Let me just repeat this one more time. 923 is an awful pen. Okay? Notice that the pens look a little bit different, but the ASUS, the S Pen, this stuff work great, but they all work. They all support pressure, right? They all work with the Wacom, the ASUS tablet. Let's prove the other case. Do they work with the Move Ink? Okay, and let's just do it here. This is the CP923. Yep, it works. Okay. What about the S Pen? Yep, it works with the Move Ink, right? What about the CP913? Yep, it works. Let's delete that. And then the ASUS pen. Yep, it works. Okay. So all of them, they're cross-compatible. They're all UD-EMR pens. Okay. Yeah, Konto, I think you are absolutely correct. There's just no way they'll ever give that Pentec up, right? They're not, or not even give it up. They're not going to license that Pentec, and I don't blame them, right? Because once they do, then I think it sets, they're not the ones making the premier pen experience, which they are. They still are. Things may change as we start seeing companies like Huion and XP Pen get pens that work just as good or almost as good as the Wacom Pro pens. PW600 pen is there, honestly. The IF, yes, it's a little bit higher than the Wacom pen, but it's still overall as a pen, it's pretty good. And once that happens, I could see, I don't know, maybe Huion or XP Pen will license their Pentec into these devices. And I don't think people are hung up on Pentec. Like, I don't think a consumer, if you told them, I've got a new, I don't know, I'll just make this up for a second, a new Lenovo 2-in-1 or a Samsung 2-in-1 tablet that supports a pen, and if you told them, oh, it has a new kind of pen, and underneath it was Huion PW600 tech, who would notice? Who would notice, right? And they would like the tech, and that'd be fine. And it'd be an improvement from the UD-EMR pens they're used to. Right? Okay, so getting back to this, I think this is I'm totally fine with this, right? This is gonna, let me go back to my view here. I'm using it in exactly the way I want to use it with you, right? Where I have, a whiteboard up here, and I just want to draw. I'm erasing right now, let me draw. And I want to talk about things like how pressure works, or give you a quick diagram, This is exactly what I want to do, right? And this is light enough that, yeah, it's much heavier than the Move Ink, but in all, it is light. It is light, right? I feel like it's probably lighter than the Canvas 13 Gen 3. Not by much, but I feel like it's, at least not heavier. But this is gonna be excellent for me. I never have to worry about my Windows PC messing things up. Okay, now that I said that, we got to see how else this thing works So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try using this with a Samsung S24 Ultra phone. Okay, we don't know what's gonna happen. I have no idea. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna load up Infinite Painter here. Infinite Painter. And let me turn off any interruptions because I don't want, I guess airplane mode is, no, I don't want airplane mode. How do you turn off notifications and things? I don't even know what these things do. Okay, hang on a second. I'll ask notifications. Can I just temporarily disable? I don't even know how to do this anymore, honestly. Whatever. I'll just go back to Infinite Painter and let me clear this. Okay, so we're gonna, you see it here, right? Now the first thing is, what happens if I plug this thing into this Samsung? We don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen. Okay. So let's see, the overhead is this. So this Samsung does not have enough power to keep this going. That's fine. That's our lesson number one. I have though, a separate USB-C cable for power, right? And I'm gonna put it in the other USB-C port on the left side here. And this should provide power, okay? Plenty of power. Let's see what happens. Did anything happen? Okay, so it did power up. As I understand from official site, main selling point is color, not the pen. I know you're doing color profiling printing, but comparing photos. Nick, can you tell me what you'd like me to compare? I'm not a color person. I just don't know what to look for, right? Okay, so my pen is like this. I'm gonna flip it like this, see what happens. Okay. First question, does touch work? Touch does not work. Okay. Next question, can I draw? Drawing does work. That's wild. Okay, but now I can touch this and zoom it. Okay. So this is actually kind of interesting. This may be useful for me. This may be useful for me because sometimes I do want to show things, but I don't want to bring up, I don't want to connect to my Windows PC because it's doing something. So this could be useful, okay? That's interesting. So touch doesn't work. Does the right click does something? It sort of hides and shows this. Or not right click, there's only one pen button. So it does that, okay? So that's actually kind of cool, right? Do I have concepts installed? Let's see. Concepts, sorry. I don't have the Concepts app installed here. That's fine. Let's try one more test. I'm gonna find a tablet, a Android tablet. I'm gonna come right back and we're gonna try that. Okay, I'm back. I just realized my Android tablets don't have display out, so they're not going to be working with this device. But I'll try some other ones. And I see Nick has answered, you can just compare same photos on different displays. Usually difference can be seen in dark, dull tones. Okay, yeah, we'll try that. Let me do a little bit of testing with some other devices and we'll get to that, Nick. And if I forget, please just remind me. Okay, so I know what's going to happen with this next test, but I just want to show it to you because I think I've got my iPad here. And let me just do a few things here. I've got all these stupid apps running. Let me close some of these. Oh, is there any way to close apps on the iPad without having to swipe them all out? Okay, hang on. And okay, that's really not what I wanted. I'll open up Concepts just so I have something there. Concepts is up. And let's go ahead and create a new drawing. Just so I have a whiteboard sort of available. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug. Oh, first I'll just plug in the iPad to it, okay? And let me give you an overhead view so you see what's going on here. And just plugging the iPad into the cable. And I think I know exactly what's going to happen. Oh, it's iPad saying, actually, I don't know, external display, stage manager off. So it does recognize the display. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's just mirroring. And so it's treating this just like any other display. It doesn't know about the touch, which is what I expected. iPads just don't know what to do in this situation, right? I'm going to cancel this and not, you know, it's not really doing anything of any interest here. Okay, so let's then go try the Chromebook. And I just want to see if how well this works with the Chromebook. And let me just boot this thing up. Hang on a minute. This is a HP Dragonfly Pro, I think, which I really like, by the way. Okay, so I just want to I'm going to start Concepts up, which is a good, decent app for, let's bring it up here. And let's see if start sketching. I don't really want to. Okay, I'll plug this in. It recognizes it's plugged into something. And this thing, I think, okay, yeah. So this is Chrome OS. I'm going to drag. Oops, how do I drag this thing over here? I'm not even sure how to do this anymore. Where is, hang on. Window management on Chrome still kind of confuses me a little bit. Not all apps respond to it well, apparently. Let me try Infinite Painter. I do love my Chromebook, but it is something that they could probably get a little better at, okay? So let's do a blank canvas. Move this over. Oh, sorry. Okay. And does the pen, I'll use the ASUS pen. Whoa, it does actually work. Okay, now pressure seems to work. I'm pressing very light and it's a very thin stroke. You can barely see it. Let me see if I can, does touch work? Touch does not work. Touch, oh sorry, I turned off touch, sorry. Let me turn it on. And so, you know what? I realized I had touch off when I tested the Samsung phone, so we'll go back to that. Let's see, where was touch? Okay. Yeah, touch actually works. That's wild. And pressure seems to work, though. Let's see if I can change the brush size here. Size is set to, it's not a very big brush in the first place. Maybe if I try a different brush. How about a calligraphy brush? Yeah. Oops. I don't know what just happened there. It's like the app crashed. It just suddenly closed on me. Yeah, it actually works quite nicely, right? So this is good. This is good to see that this works, and touch is not confused. This is, you know, touch is working on this device. It's not affecting the touch of the Chromebook. So this is nice. Konto, I really do like that idea you just said. I imagine an iPad with display in, right? I think if you connect them to like a Mac OS, it will do that, but just not with random devices. As this is a portable display, you could just say if you see any advantage with the laptop screen, which are usually crap. Okay, yeah, we'll try that. Since I have the HP here, let me see if I can take a look. I'm just gonna take a look at a photo. I'll find one on the interwebs. Give me a minute. Sorry. Okay, sorry, I'm just clicking randomly now. Let me see if I can find. Where is Chrome? Okay. So I'm gonna open up, yeah, we'll search for Glengarry Glen Ross. Which of those images? Do I notice anything interesting? Let's see. So let me look at it head on. This was, I set the native color mode, Nick. And now I'm moving it over to my other laptop. Oh, sorry, to the Chromebook. Maybe this is not the best choice of picture. Let me just try to find a colorful picture. Colorful nature photos. Let's try that. Okay, yeah. So I'm looking at these here. These look fine. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm blown away by any of these. But now I'll move to the Chromebook. I'm doing back and forth testing here. I don't really see any significant differences, I would say. Keep in mind that, yeah, the screen, yeah, I just don't see anything, I don't see anything noteworthy, Nick, right? I'll try to the Movink as well. However, I have to change computers for this one. So give me a second. Okay, give me, let's see, what do I need to do? I need to connect this. Got so many cables again. Let's get back here to this thing. Okay. So I'll look for colorful photos again. Colorful nature photos. Same set of photos here. So now I'm comparing the Movink screen to this thing, okay? So the photos are here. Okay, I see what they look like. Let me go ahead and just duplicate it. And I'm gonna move this over to the Movink, wherever it is. There we go. Okay, so I'm looking at the same set of things on both screens. So the camera is giving you a false impression of what's going on. Let me tell you what I see. Let me scroll down a little bit. I have touch turned off on the Movic. I'm just comparing them side by side, actually. Like these balloons. They just look very good to me, right? Nick, let me just make sure there are any questions. Oh, I see. This is not the right thing to compare. You need to compare professional wide gamut photos side by side to spot little details. Okay, so this is not a good test, is what you're telling me. The way I'm doing it. Okay. I will research and try to do a more extensive test on this, Nick. Unless you can think of something quick I can do. Happy to do it. I just, I want to be able to do it in time for people to see what I'm doing, without, Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I guess you guys can't see it. I can. At least what I can say is, I guess the statement I will leave with, at least to my eyes, that the quality of the display is great for both of them, right? I don't notice colors really deviating for pictures that are the same. So there's a balloon here and there's a balloon here. And to my eye, again, this display is set to be brighter than this one. So you're seeing it kind of blown out here, but to me, I find these two indistinguishable. And the same with, oops, sorry. This photo, you're seeing is blown out. I probably see it as a little more saturated on this display, slightly. This photo, same thing. There's a little bit more maybe contrast, I would say, on the ASUS than up here, okay, according to my eyes. Again, neither one of them looks bad. This is what I'm sure they're adjustable, but yeah, that's at least what I see, okay? So overall, I will say this. I think this is actually a really nice display for my use case, right? I think, let me show my face here a little bit. What I think is true about this is I love the fact that it has touch. Oh, we need to test with Mac OS. I think I know what's going to happen. I don't think anything is going to work, and we have the ASUS app to test as well. Where's my Mac? I got to figure this out. Hang on. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to get my MacBook. Okay, I'm back now with the MacBook. I don't recall if this is really going to work. I can't remember Brad's video or TO's video and what they said about this case. So we'll try. Okay, let me close some of these apps. I have Krita already running. I have Clip already running. So I'll just probably just leave it Clip up. And let me disconnect and plug it in to the Mac. I've left touch on. Okay, the Mac's saying allow accessory to connect. I always forget my MacBook does not have touch. Okay, do I see anything? Actually, yeah, you can probably barely see it. This is set up to show you the wrong thing. So let me see. Oh yeah, because I'm showing you my Windows PC and I wonder. Okay, let me just go to the straight overhead shot if I can. There we go. So it's actually showing the Mac menu here. So I'm just going to drag this over. If I can. Oh, why can't I drag this window? There we go. There we go. Does anything work? Well, what the hell? I didn't expect that to work. Hey, Hera, we're just testing out this device. Okay, so touch doesn't work even though it is enabled. The pen, it registers as a thing, but is it drawing? It doesn't seem to draw. Let's open up, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open up the tablet tester, see what this thing says. So, for some reason, this is not drawing. Is it the pen? Is it me? Okay, this is weird. Let me tell you what's going on here. This is very strange. Let me zoom in. Okay. I don't know how to explain this to you, but once you see the numbers, okay. So over here tells you the pointer buttons, position, velocity, direction, etc. Here are, it says sensors, pressure, tilt, okay? Now I'm pressing down with these different pens and you can see it knows the position, obviously. It knows even when I'm touching the tablet or not, okay? That's interesting. And so, for example, this should work if I click on the plus button. It doesn't. Oh, it does work. Okay. So clicking on this does actually cause something to happen. I had to double click for that. But I click on this, so tapping is working, which is interesting. Right? Let me close these. I feel like it's a little bit unreliable. The tapping. Tilt is not working. Barrel rotation obviously doesn't work. Pressure's not working. So with a Mac, you cannot use this for drawing. Okay? It's acting just like a mouse, but it's not drawing anything. I don't know if that's my fault or not. So we're gonna have to test this out a little bit. We're gonna have to try this with a, what's that darn thing? Microsoft Whiteboard. Let's go ahead. Because I don't, it could be that I have a bug in my code, right? You don't want to, let's try it out. Okay, so the Microsoft Whiteboard does draw. That's interesting. No pressure sensitivity. I'm not sure if Microsoft Whiteboard has pressure sensitivity or not, but it does draw, which is interesting. Okay, what about an app like, oops, I dropped the pen somewhere. No, I can't even see it. Okay. Let me try a different pen, just because who knows. No change. right? So basically this registers like a mouse, but it doesn't let me really draw with any pressure. I'm not sure why it's not doing anything with clip. That's another mystery in and of itself. Maybe I'm doing something odd. Maybe there's like there's a dialogue or something. I don't know. And actually something really weird happened. I'm going to show you what happened. So let me zoom out. Okay. And for reasons that aren't going to be obvious, I'm using the mouse, the trackpad to move the mouse over here. Okay. So notice that I used my hand to change. I'm going to hold my other hand over here, right? And I'm using the trackpad on the to draw. Okay. That means the mouse is registered here on the tablet. Now, this will move. You can see the little pointer, right? So it does move the pointer. I can't draw. Now watch what happens. Let me show you the Mac, actually, because this is relevant to my discussion. Okay, and if I, on the other hand, move the mouse back here, is this too bright for you, maybe? How do I, oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to make this not as bright. I guess, will this do it? Nope. I don't know what makes this less or more bright. The key thing is this is not, oh, I don't know why this turned off either. Okay, maybe I did something. Hang on. Maybe I turned down the brightness of this thing. Yeah, it looks like I was not paying attention. I thought this was going to turn down the brightness of the Mac display. It actually turned down the brightness of this display. Okay, let me unplug it and turn down the brightness, if I can, of the built-in display, which doesn't seem to be turning down brightness at all. Okay, whatever. The key point is, this doesn't really function like a pen display with Mac OS. It'll basically function like a screen with a mouse, where you can use a mouse. And the difficulty I was trying to show you was, oh, now it's working. Thank you, Mac. That once I move the pointer over here, even if I'm moving the pen here, you see what's happening, right? So the Mac is not really designed to work with this kind of device, it seems, which is regrettable. Okay, now there's one more thing I wanted to test, right? Which is another reason I thought this device was interesting in my use case, which is there's some special ASUS software to give you like a control panel that lets you use this almost like, I don't know how to say this, like a utility panel for your apps, right? Not quite like a Stream Deck, but we're going to try like a little additional live dashboard. So we're going to try to see if we can find that and install it. So give me a second. I have to go search for this thing. Okay, good question from Hera. Hera, I did try my Samsung S. So let me just, since you're here, and we love having you as a treasured member of our chat, let me just go ahead and just do it live for you. Okay, so I want this thing. Okay, so this is my Samsung Galaxy Tab S something, right? S24 Ultra. And let me open up Infinite Painter. And there it is. Okay, so I'm going to plug it in. And now this thing is plugged into the Samsung as well as external power, because the Samsung cannot power this display. Now, okay, it just takes a second for it to recognize. Okay, so the first good thing is, do I have touch turned on? Yeah, touch does actually work on here, weirdly enough, right? And the pens actually do draw with pressure. So this is another interesting part of this tablet. If you're looking for a device, you want to carry your phone with you with a display, this is, I think, a good solution for people. This is or at the very least a decent one, right? And Hera, this is a Samsung S Pen. Actually, I'm using with this. This is the pen that came with, right? And we tried Wacom pens, the CP913, 923. They worked as well on this and the Move Ink, right? And of course, actually, this pen should work on the Samsung. Why doesn't it? Let's try this again. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's not supposed to work on that. So this is actually cool. I think this might be a better choice for some people than a pen computer, because this is a pretty powerful phone, S24 Ultra, and I'm liking this. Right, this. Okay. Now, I can't remember here. None of my other Android tablets have DP out, so they won't work with this tablet. And my Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra, which does have DP out, is not charged right now, so it's going to take a little time for it to sort of get ready. So I just thought I'd use the phone. Do these phones have DeX on them? Here, let me close this off for a second. Otherwise, I think I'm going to pull that cable out, and I don't want to do that. DeX. There we go. DeX. Yeah, is DeX only on the tabs, but not on the phones? I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Samsung. Oh, Samsung DeX is here. Okay, let me connect this thing back in now that I found it. I didn't realize it was installed. It'll take a second for this thing to figure out what's going on. Well, Nick, I thought that might be a easier solution for someone who wants to draw, but I realize it's cumbersome. But as opposed to spending $3,000, maybe more dollars for a Mobile Studio Pro, that's why I bring it up. It's definitely more cumbersome. I'm not, that is true. Okay, what do I want to do here? Samsung DeX. And, okay, so I'm going to say start DeX. Let's see what happens. Okay, so DeX is there. Now I don't have a keyboard or anything, but wow, this actually kind of works, right? Let me try concepts. Double clicked on concepts. Let's try drawing. Works well, honestly. And does touch work? Yes, it does. I have to admit, honestly, I'm surprised how powerful this little phone is, right? Like, I would have no problems drawing with this thing. What about Infinite Painter? Let's try it. I guess I could use this thing. Oh yeah, this works. Of course. I'm not used to DeX. So you have to forgive me. Does touch work? Yes, it does. Does pressure work? I think it is. The line is, let's pick a bigger pen here. Yeah, pressure is working, it seems. Who knows? Maybe I will actually try doing this with my Samsung devices now. Because I'm always looking for a quick way to do a sketch, but I don't want to like boot into Windows or something, right? And I do have my phone with me all the time, so that is interesting. Let's take a look. Hera replied to Nick. I use my Move Ink with my phone instead of an iPad laptop. It's lighter than an iPad, and I usually carry my phone and battery with me when I go to work on things anyway. Hera, do you... Oh God, you answered the question I was just about to ask. The Move Ink doesn't power with a single cable for a smartphone, but it is smaller and lighter. Yeah, I think this is capable. I wouldn't have any problem with using this kind of thing. And let me see, do I have Microsoft Whiteboard installed? I keep thinking I could type. I can't, where does the keyboard go if you type like this? Yeah, I guess if I had a dock, this might actually work, right? I will maybe experiment that in the future. Can I write? No. Let me try searching here for the Microsoft Whiteboard app, if there is one. Whiteboard. What is that thing called? Oh yeah, Play Store, Play Store. Okay, let's see if there's a whiteboard app. I'm looking specifically for a Microsoft Whiteboard. Microsoft, if they have an app. They do actually have an app. So give me a second and let's use another account. Use 7 pens. Sorry, I'm just doing my little authentication dance here. Let's go, whiteboard. Okay. Now the question is, how do I launch the whiteboard on here? Gotta find it. There we go. New whiteboard. Let's see if this works nicely. I just want to demonstrate the pressure. Works here. Maximize window. Untitled, sure. I don't know where the controls are exactly on this thing. Does touch work? Touch is not responsive for whiteboard, don't know why. And I don't see the whiteboard controls here, which is a little confusing. I guess, oh, I think they just do it differently when you have it in DeX mode. Yeah, with this, remember, this is my scenario for this device. I want to use it to draw things for people live, right? Again, let me plug it back into my Windows PC, and let me show you again. Since here, I don't think, you may not have seen me exactly talk about why I wanted to use this device. Let me plug this back into my Windows PC. And I'm going to unplug this power cord since I don't need it. The PC can deliver enough power. Wait for a second. Okay, now we're back to the way it's supposed to look. So yeah, here, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to, literally, I bought this for my streams, right? And in my streams, I wanted to do a situation where I would draw for people, right? And I wanted something dedicated that wouldn't interfere with the drivers of my Windows PC that's over here. And, you know, it's because this doesn't need a driver. And so I could say things, you know, and record videos, etc. That's what this was all about. This wasn't actually intended to replace an actual pen display, but now that I have it, I could see that for some people, this would actually replace a pen display. Is the drawing experience great? No, it's just so-so because it uses Wacom UDEMR. However, for a lot of people, this would be enough, right? This would absolutely be enough. Okay, now, one more thing. This is just a silly, let me get the new whiteboard. So ASUS has a special like app, okay, for this thing. Okay, Nick. Nick is being threatened with violence, it seems. Uh, get a good sleep. We will see you soon. Thanks for joining the stream, Nick. Appreciate you here and appreciate your questions. Okay, now we gotta find this ASUS app. Okay, so give me a second. I'm gonna go search on the interwebs for the app. And let's see. ASUS, what is this called? I can't remember the name of this device. What is, it's got one of these long ProArt PA16 something. PA169CDV. It's this thing. App. Let's take a look. Accept all. Support. These are all the specs. Drivers and tools. This is what I want, right? So it looks like there is actually some kind of weird driver package for this thing. Don't know what it actually does. A little scared. Chromatune. Creator Hub. That's the thing I'm thinking about. You're about to apps. Okay, it's from the Windows App Store. Okay, sure. Let's get there. Oops, there we go. Okay. Hello. Windows Store. Or the Microsoft Store. I'll just get there manually. I just gotta remember the name of the app we're talking about. It was called... Oh. Where was the app with the name of that thing? ProArt Creator Hub. That's what I'm looking for. Where's the store? ProArt ASUS Creator Hub. ProArt Creator Hub. This is it. Free. Get. Checking dependencies. Preparing to download. Okay, here we go. Open. Welcome to ASUS software, ASUS, okay, blah, 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 accept. I'm going to disconnect my moving because it's getting some, my Windows, it's affecting how the mouse works. Okay, here we go. Sure, dark. Or follow system settings. I'll leave it at dark. ProArt update service. Okay. I'll go ahead and do that. Don't know what it's going to do. Yes, install. I don't think this is like a driver. I think it's something else. But I don't know what exactly it would be updating. Restart the application. Sure, shut down. I'll restart. And now it says ProArt Creator Hub. And then, interesting. It's got some information about the tablet, which is great. Color management. I don't know what any of these things mean, so we're just gonna leave this alone. So I'm just gonna skip all this stuff. And I don't want to do color management because I don't know what it means. Creative Land. There's an offer to redeem for 3 months, a 3-month trial of Adobe Creative Cloud. Marking of PDFs. Okay. Well, you're welcome about the questions, Kip. Glide X. Enjoy any screen, any device, anywhere. Scary name. Glide X. ASUS dial and control panel. This is what I want. Oh, I didn't need to get. I guess I could have installed this directly. Because this could be useful for what I need to do. What I want is to also maybe use this not only for whiteboarding, but as a kind of, almost like a Stream Deck, like a virtual control panel. We'll see. For at least some things, right? Okay. Click on this. Yeah, sure. Let's agree to another EULA. You want to, yeah, sure. A lot of clicking to get this thing up. Okay, we're just waiting for this to install. Interaction, recommended apps, add application, edit function, customize, personalized components. You're almost done before we start. Click the information icon. Okay, get started. Okay, it looks like it's got some built-in, interesting. ASUS control panel supports most of the apps installed on your computer. Select the apps you wish to use. Okay, I don't care about Excel. Maybe I want to do Word, actually. Maybe Chrome, not Edge. Clip Studio, yeah, sure, why not? PowerPoint, hell yeah. I'm gonna click. Is there an OK button here? Miro, sure, why not? ASUS dial and control panel. Okay. Oh, this is a long list. Okay. Krita, sure, why not? Discord, sure, why not? I don't know what it means. Like, it'll give me abilities if I do these things. Okay, we're gonna leave it like this. And let me scroll down here and see what else. Okay, the confirm button's all the way at the bottom, which confused me. Okay, this lets me control my system volume. Maybe you can't see it, but oh wow. Let me see if I can bring up my system volume here. Let's see if this actually does that. It does. Okay, so, hey, that's nice. So I mean, it's not affecting what you hear, but if I needed to, again, I want to use this as a control panel, right? A touch control panel. So this is useful. Mute. It actually muted. Do you see that? So you can't see my hands. So let me just, let me turn this back on here. Oops. Okay. So what I'm saying is this can actually control the sound volume. I can mute this computer's audio. Show high desktop. Whoa. Okay, that's interesting. I can bring this back up. I can lock my PC. Okay, I won't do that right now. I can do vertical scrolling. Interesting, we'll test this out. Snipping tool. That could be interesting for me. I do a lot of screen captures and things. Okay, good. That's actually useful for me. Let's see. And it looks like I have different... I don't know what you have in there. I guess this means they're different screens. Oh, I see, I see. I can add things to this, I guess. So I'll add a function, which is like... this is so funny. We'll try system brightness. Confirm. I guess I can... Can't... Oh, damn it. I meant to drag this thing. It's a little sluggish. Fine, whatever. Okay. Save and apply. Okay, so I lost one thing, but I gained system brightness. But does it do anything? It's a little confusing now because I'm not sure how to... Let's launch it. Okay, it's launched. This is confusing. Let's go back there. How do I... The fact that the buttons are at the bottom and the top gets confusing. Let's reset this. Yeah. There's already system brightness controller here. So let's save and apply. Is this functional or not? No, this is just the authoring system. How do we get back to launch? This UI is a little confusing, to be quite honest. Okay, you can't see it, and actually it's not affecting anything. Okay, let's try creating something else. Let's try creating... Oh, launch. Yeah, it's not doing anything. This is controlling volume. I want to do something to control, I don't know, Clip Studio Paint. Add function. I'm unclear what it's... Oh, I see. There are certain controls you can add for certain apps. I want to add controls for Clip Studio Paint. Okay, so here are the ones for Clip Studio Paint. Let me add one for PowerPoint because I want to use this to show presentations. This is useful. Okay, let's launch this and see what happens. Let me bring up PowerPoint and I actually have a presentation here. I'm going to resize this to be so you don't see this. You can see this both at the same time. So, okay, maybe I have to go into presentation mode. That was not useful. Let's try this. This is a little confusing for me, to be quite honest. I think I'll have to play around with this some more to sort of understand how I feel like I understand what they're trying to do, but I do not understand how the UI is wanting me to navigate. Let's try adding function again. Or canceling this. ASUS dial, control panel, skip, control panel. Add function, PowerPoint. You can't do much here, right? Customize function. Kind of confusing. Yeah, I'm not sure how to interpret how this works, to be quite honest. Every time I try to customize this, oh, I see. I guess there's a distant. I think I was confused by. I don't know. This software, I think, needs some work. I'm going to move this over to another monitor and see if I can figure out what's going on. Sorry, I know this is the most boring stream ever, but let me reset everything. Oh, I see. It's context sensitive. If I touch PowerPoint, then this switches. Let's see if now. Oh, I see. Okay. Once the app is active, then it switches. I was expecting to see like I could assemble a menu of things. And I guess I can, but it's context sensitive always. And this should be able, I see. This is useful. This is useful, actually. And here's the editing thing, wherever the heck that window went. And so I want to see if I can make this bigger. And I want to see if I can add a new function, which is like go to the first, let's see, we'll add a, unfortunately, it looks like you only get a few options of what you can do. I was hoping to do anything, but it doesn't seem that way. Like I wanted a thing that would, I don't know, center a paragraph. But I don't see a way, like hit a button and it'll, not as, okay. Long and short, this isn't quite what I hoped. I think with some work, this could be quite interesting, but it isn't what I thought it was going to be. I want to be able to build a custom control panel that would put on this thing. And I'm just going to pretend to leave it here. Let me zoom out for a second so you can understand. I'm going to zoom out. Oops. Sorry, I gotta change this around a little bit. Okay. So while I'm presenting to you, what I wanted was what you're seeing on the screen right here, right? Let's pretend that's a PowerPoint presentation. I wanted to switch through that with this device, right? And I can't show it to you because the way my video thing is set up right now, but if you imagine a PowerPoint presentation right here, as I tapped here, it would go to the next slide or go back or restart the presentation or start something. And I was hoping to be able to assign different shortcut keys and everything because that would let me control my stream without having to touch my keyboard. That's the dream I kind of had, right? But it's not doing that. It's not as flexible as I wanted. I wanted almost like a virtual stream deck, but that's not serving this purpose. Now, the good news is for my purpose, I can actually, I think the Stream Deck is adding a kind of virtual Stream Deck support, and I probably could use this for that, just not through the ASUS software. Okay? So, yeah, still interesting. I still like this device. You will be seeing me use this on my streams, for sure. There's no doubt about that, because this is useful for me. I really want to be able to draw and whiteboard things, and this is going to be, and not to interfere with other drivers, which is the key thing. Right? And even presenting things like this PowerPoint. Let me close this thing. Well, you get the idea, right? Like I can easily, move between the different slides and things without necessarily touching the keyboard, right? So we'll see. I'll play around with this, but I'm liking this. This is actually quite useful for me. Okay, I think we've gone through this tablet very extensively. Again, I like it. I wouldn't recommend it for someone who just wants to do creative things and you're used to a Wacom Cintiq or a Cintiq Pro or a Canvas Pro 19. I think this is a bit expensive if you're thinking about just a beginner tablet. And the drawing experience is just not going to be up to a Cintiq or a Canvas Pro 19. I think this is a more specialized device. I think if you have needs for what it's providing, which is touch sensitivity, 4K display, and it won't interfere with your computer, and you don't really need it to work that great on a Mac, this would be good for whiteboarding. This would be good for kind of an auxiliary kind of input device in a sense. So for me, it's good, but probably a MoveInk is a better artistic choice because the drawing quality is better. Now, having said that, I do like the size of the screen. It is not hugely different from the MoveInk. Here, I'll put the MoveInk right on top of it. But it's an extra 2 inches. It actually makes me want one slightly bigger, maybe an 18-inch, just because I think I would like a little more surface area to work with. But I like it. I like it. This is actually, I think, compelling device. It's a niche device, not something that I think a lot of people are going to rush to. If ASUS can improve maybe that software and somehow add a better pen, not an MPP pen, like an EMR pen, then this would be a much more compelling device. So that's overall my view of this tablet. And okay, I think that's going to wrap it up for this stream. For anyone who's still remaining, I might be streaming later tonight on a different topic. I did promise that I was going to stream on playing Osu live, so I might actually do that. So with that, I will end the stream in a second. I'll take a look for any more questions. Let me just start cleaning up around here. And yeah, this was a fun little adventure. And I'm going to definitely use this. In addition to streaming, I'm setting up the desk that I'm sitting at as one to help create my videos. And this will actually help me. This will absolutely help me. Thanks for joining, Hera. Thanks for joining, Hera. And it's always fun we have the Discord crew show up on these streams. I appreciate it. You're right, Hera. This does show that a moving 16 would be nice. Yes, absolutely. Right? A moving 16 would be I was wondering what it'd feel like, but if I imagine this device as thin as a moving, yeah, absolutely. I would want a moving 16. No doubt about it in my mind. No doubt. Before I was maybe a little doubtful, but now I'm like, for sure. For sure I want a moving 16. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Have a great night. I will be streaming soon. And thanks again for being here for me. See you, everyone.